So, this update to bonus damage has become quite controversial because many people are struggling to understand if bonus damage should be applied to one skill or to another. And you know what? It's not their fault. The problem starts back in December when Tico announced this. Basically, when he announced this, he said this.
After this update in January, the main hit of a skill will continue to receive additional damage as before. However, extra projectiles, automatic supplementary hits, and other secondary strike effects will no longer benefit from additional damage.
So, back then, it was clear. I think most people actually understood it back then. The main skill will use bonus damage and all the other secondary and extra projectiles will not. However, in this week's Tico Talk, he says this.
Both bonus damage and damage reduction will only apply to the first hit of multi-hit skills instead of every individual hit.
He messed up in this wording. That's why many people are saying only the first hit of quick fire is using bonus damage and not all the others. Only the first hit of strafing is using bonus damage and not all the others. That's false. I already showed you yesterday in this video why that's false, okay? So in this video, I want to give you just a tip. How can you tell whether or not a skill should be using bonus damage or not? First, you can go to the patch notes, okay? Basically, every skill that is not using bonus damage is listed here. For example, Roxy's is not using bonus damage. Mother's Natural Protest is not using bonus damage. Mortal Mark is not using bonus damage. You can go through all the patch notes over here and just find where they are saying that bonus damage is not being applied, okay? However, let's say that still you are wondering, okay, but this particular item is using bonus damage. This particular skill is using bonus damage because I'm not sure. So for example, Tevent, the Tevent bow says, shoots a bonus projectile whenever using a strafing, right? So this bonus projectile is using bonus damage or not. So how can you tell that? It's quite simple, okay? So let me use Mother's Natural Protest and Mortal Mark. And I will only attack with a strafing, okay? So I apply the mark and I attack with a strafing. If we check the combat analyzer, we see that I only attack with a strafing, right? So I attack with a strafing, but I see Mortal Mark, I see Roxy's, and I see Mother's Natural Protest. My main skill was strafing. So everything included in strafing is using bonus damage, and that includes Teven. Teven is not an additional projectile. Notice that Teven is not here. It doesn't have any specific entry for it, okay? By contrast, these 20 hits of Mortal Mark, I didn't attack 29 times with Mortal Mark, right? I only attack once. So only the first hit, this 280% of base damage plus 109, used bonus damage. All the other 28 hits did not, because I didn't actively use them. Roxy is the same situation. I didn't use Roxy. I don't have a skill here to attack with Roxy. It's an additional projectile. And the same with Mother's Natural Protest. I can activate it, but I'm not attacking with it whenever I press this icon, right? So this is the biggest way, or the biggest trick to understand if bonus damage is applied to something or not. If you actively use a skill, it did use bonus damage. All the other secondary effects did not. If you notice the tooltips, there is actually one subtle difference, okay? Teven says bonus projectile, right? By contrast, Lucien says, what is this? Fires an additional projectile. Additional, okay? Mother's Nature Protest says, when activated, projectile attacks consume 24 mana, blah blah blah, to shoot an additional projectile. Roxy says, additional arrow. Ackman says, I have Ackman over here, additional projectiles. So whenever it's saying additional, that's an additional hit, okay? It's an extra skill that is happening. For example, if I use a quick fire with, I don't have Lucien here, with Lucien, okay, I have Lucien stack and I attack with Lucien now. What happens? I attack with quick fire, but we see Lucien here. Lucien is doing damage, but I didn't actively use Lucien because I cannot. It's an additional effect to the weapon, to the crossbow. So that's why in this case it's not being applied bonus damage. This quick fire used with this 4 hits of quick fire use bonus damage. These 11 hits from Lucien are not using bonus damage. Okay, so that's the difference. There is something missing. Okay, for a scout I think it's clear, but what happens with Fury, or basically with the one? Because what happens is that Vampiric is a passive, right? It's not an active skill. It's a passive skill, and you need to add it here. So I cannot attack with Vampiric, right? I cannot. I don't have anything here to attack with Vampiric. Vampiric is only triggered by applying a curse and then attacking, okay? If we go here, we will see Vampiric over here, okay? It's doing damage. And it's applying bonus damage. I already tested, and it's applying bonus damage. So, in this case, it may be a bug, okay? It may be a bug because it's not following the logic. However, if we look at the description, it's not saying anywhere that it's doing an additional hit. It's just saying that Vampiric Contract now additional deals the same amount of damage to the user's target, instead of restoring analyze health. So it's not fighting, it's not shooting an additional projectile. It's not like Mortal Mark, which says something like, let me remove this, which says each attack that hits a marked target deals 20% of base damage plus 15 damage as additional damage. It's not the same. The wording is different, okay? So some people may believe that Vampiric is bug. I think it's not. It's working the way it should be working, because it's not fighting an additional shoot, an additional projectile, or it's not doing additional damage. It's replacing the healing effect for damage effect. That's it. That's why it's applying bonus damage, even though we don't have a skill that we don't have an active skill that where you can use, when you can hit with Vampiric. You need to trigger that by hitting when a target has a curse. I hope this video made some things clearer. If you have more doubts about it, just ask in the comment and I will try to answer that if I know the answer. And that's it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.